Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between. I am your host, James J., starring Kaliko Yachts, who's a little bit late today, Mitch Mayhem, who would not be joining us tonight, and Scooter Dust.
Hey, hey, hey!
And it's a great day for wrestling, Scooter, but maybe not a great day for Mauro Ranallo, who was released earlier this week from
Yep.
WWE. This is a big
Yeah.
kid for NXT, right? Being the voice of it for so long.
Yes, Mauro Ranallo, being, you know, uh, that almost iconic voice of NXT, but also at the same time, he saw that his, I don't want to say his welcome was up because that's not the case. He just, he saw that it was time for him to move on because he was there more to be an advocate for people with bipolar disorder like myself, more than he was being a color commentator. And he felt his message had essentially, you know, gotten across, and his time was done. And it also, I believe, had to do with him wanting to take care of his ailing mother
Right.
as well. So nothing but respect for Mauro Ranallo. He's still going to be doing his not UFC, but his
Bellator.
MMA and Showtime boxing commitments. So if you really want to hear Mauro, you can get cable, uh, or you can. I'm not sure where his MMA airs, but uh, this was this was an amicable release. Um, but having Mauro Ranallo in pro wrestling was definitely good while it lasted.
Do you think
If
we'll be
anything,
seeing him in another wrestling promotion, whether it be an AEW or New Japan?
no, probably not. Probably not. Most likely, and this is coming as somebody who is bipolar, we form very specific associations when it comes to the times we have our downswings. And more often than not, Morrow would probably associate any pro wrestling with a lot of those bad times as much as the good times that were there. So he's probably putting pro wrestling in his rearview mirror, uh, and if it's to make himself better mentally, then more power to him.
Alright, whatever he decides to do, I'm sure it's going to be interesting. One of the goats of commentating. But Wade Barrett kind of took over for him. He did a fantastic job in NWA commentating. Do you think that he'll be able to fill that void, or do you think that it's going to be a big hole? It's
Uh, well, there. Well, considering they are working a deal, they're trying to work out a deal with Stu Bennett, Wade Barrett. I can tell you right now, nobody will probably ever live up to the level of Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo was like like this generation's Joey Styles.
He knew how
Um,
to get the crowd into it, didn't
yeah, or even this generation's Jim Ross, which is funny because you know Jim Ross isn't this generation's Jim Ross.
he? Right.
Um, but the thing about Wade Barrett is uh, he's he's different. He focuses on the action. It's almost like they're they want somebody British on the NXT commentary team, considering they're relaunching NXT UK in about 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm not sure if Nigel McGuinness is going to be over there, but optimistically, the dream for me would be seeing Nigel McGuinness and Wade Barrett, on the same announced team for an NXT Takeover.
That would actually be pretty cool, especially for the British UK, considering that they always have at least one American or on commentary there. Another thing that
Yep.
happened in the news, another release, the the poet, the prophets of pain, or the
The authors of
authors
Pain,
of pain.
Akam Razar, have been released. This was just this was just posted even a little while ago, and then just a simple release. No reason as to why yet. Uh, just that the WWE wishes them best in their future endeavors.
It kind of seems like
We'll
the main roster run was kind of stop and stop and start from the get go. Each one of them got injuries that kept them out for a prolonged amount of time.
and then they were finally coming up as Seth Rollins goons, and then the pandemic.
Right. And
Um,
and once again injuries. Damn those injuries. You,
I mean, I think it's quite possible this is one of the teams that will get rehired eventually.
do you think it was more of a cost cutting measure, or do you think that they kind of saw that it wasn't working out and maybe come back at another date?
I I think it's got more to do with that than because they could have been they could have been released a long time ago.
Right.
Um, if they were released now, why weren't they released? A couple of months ago with all the mass releases. It's I don't think this is anything to get upset over.
Do you see them going to AEW?
God, I can just imagine what they'd be called, like the the writers of Hurt. I don't know, but the thing that the fact that they were named after the scientific theory where the most obvious answer is usually the correct one. Occam's razor, and if AEW gets them and they're even halfway smart, they'll do another scientific theory related name.
It'll be the Pain Heart. What would be a good name for them? The Raiders of Ouchie.
I mean, the Raiders of Ouchie. I love that. The Raiders of Ouchie. The Boo Boo Bandits.
There you go. Now we're cooking. We will be covering more AEW in our main event with the All Out preview show. We will also be reviewing the Jingu Stadium show for New Japan. But for right now, we are wrestling with WWE Payback. And if you were smart, you were listening to the remix with Scooter Dust and myself and Mitch Mayhem. As a whole, how did you like this show, Scooter?
It was, yeah. You know what? I think WWE was right, and it felt like it's what the SummerSlam third hour would have been had the if they had most of those matches. A couple of show stealers. Again, I don't know if I'll ever come to terms with the decision to do this 1 week after the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. I mean, I could see why the Payback main event could have easily been the SummerSlam main event.
True.
If they had, because they had the first Thunderdome on the SmackDown before SummerSlam, and if they were they could have had Reigns come out, and they could have brought out Paul Heyman with him, and you could have booked the match right then and there and had that.
But that would be honestly a day build up for what they kind of built in a week.
That is true. That there probably is no real good way to say, oh, this could have happened then, and hindsight unfortunately is not 2020 here.
Right, and let's get into this. First match on the card, Bobby Lashley with MVP and Shelton Benjamin defeated Apollo Crews to win the United States Championship. Bobby Lashley hasn't held the United States Championship since 2006. Do you think this was a good move to put the belt on Lashley again? Him being kind of pushed into a main event spot and then kind of getting downgraded to a secondary title, so to speak.
It's like giving AJ Styles the Intercontinental Championship and calling him, the top title holder on SmackDown. Lashley is a powerhouse. The United States title really needs, like, it needs one of those, runs where a main event guy runs with it for a little bit. Um, Lashley having the title, not bad. He's the leader of what's looking to be, the most, you know, dominating force on Raw. And when it seems, that Raw is going to need, a group of people to step up and defend them with Retribution, because Retribution is now only attacking Raw.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that it makes sense. And and the fact that they keep up, the Hurt Business keep appearing on Raw, Underground, and now you can't not convince me that the people from Raw Underground aren't Retribution at this point. But Lashley needs that title to, essentially make him a legitimate, ass kicker in terms of how he is viewed on the roster.
What did you think about Apollo Cruz's run? I found it
It
pretty
was
lackluster.
it was lackluster. They didn't give him a lot of, like, defenses. Of course, he did have that bout uh, with COVID. Um, that doesn't seem like it had anything to any impact on his reign overall. It just, I'm not sure if this was just if the title reign was a reward for Cruz's hard work, um, or what. But
He's definitely missing something.
yeah, yes, he, on the indie scene, he was a silent monster who had somebody talking for him.
Who was his manager?
Larry Dallas. And Apollo Crews used to be known as Uha Nation.
And I can see why he had that mouthpiece coming
Yeah,
into WWE. It doesn't seem like the rivalry is over there, so we'll see where that kind of goes. Maybe his push isn't done yet. Next up, Big E defeated Sheamus. This was the dark horse of the night. This was a pretty good match.
yeah, this definitely was a better match than it had any right to be. Um, I mean, it shows you how serious they are about giving Big E the singles push. I mean, of course, after SmackDown, you might um, you might wonder if they're serious after what Sheamus did to Big E, but not knowing about SmackDown, yeah, they're serious about giving Big E that push, giving him a clean win over a former Grand Slam champion.
And I mean, Sheamus in 2020, I mean, wow. How good is he? He's been
He
having constant great matches.
he definitely has, and he's developed more personality,
With
and
with his snatch outfit.
with his Guy Ritchie outfit.
Right.
And I mean, On SmackDown, I kind of thought he almost looked a little bit like like Rocky Balboa. But I mean, if somebody owes you money, call Sheamus. He'll collect for you.
The Great White Shark.
The Great Loan Shark.
There you go. Next up, Matt Riddle defeated King Corbin. Not the greatest match here. But, I mean, when whoever accused Baron Corbin of having a great match?
Whoever accused Baron Corbin of having a match. No.
Alright, now we have Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. They defeated Sasha Banks and Bayley to win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. This was one of the best finishers I've seen in quite some time with Baszler.
Yes.
Hooking both girls and locking them up.
Yes, it absolutely was. Probably if the WWE does an end of the year award special, this will get the award for most unique finish, most surprising finish.
Definitely a contender ballot.
On SmackDown, there was a rematch.
Yeah, there was.
And you can safely say that the duo of Bayley and Sasha is no more.
And I think you could kind of saw that the week prior, leading up to Payback, because Bayley was she was doubting Sasha at that point.
And it was Bayley that turned.
And there's your swerve, bro.
Yeah, Bayley went from being heel to even bigger heel.
I mean, you would have you kind of would have expected it be Sasha, but it kind of shows the cunning of Bayley that she used her best friend as much as she could, and now she's throwing her away.
Yep, something because even as a heel, people almost kind of expect that the hugger to still be in there somewhere underneath. What happened on SmackDown shows the hugger is dead once and for all.
Yeah, she'll hug you, but she'll stab a knife in your back.
And she'll stab you in the front, forget the back.
She'll stab you all around. But Shayna and Nia, they're the new team Hell No, correct?
Yeah. Yes. That's actually it's a good comparison. I mean, they did provide a lot of storyline into building up the team here with Shayna and Nia. They did a couple of weeks of build up, but it definitely works.
And most importantly, it's entertaining.
Yes, when they when they eventually explode, it'll be fun to watch. Not to mention the hilarious social media from Nia Jax. When she put out a few days ago, why is Asuka yelling at my boobs?
Well, they have more personality than she does.
I mean, and if you go back to Raw and you watch, she's actually yelling right at them.
I think this works because, Nia, the less time Nia spends in the ring, the better. And having Shayna with Nia kind of gives her some more personality that we haven't necessarily saw from Shayna. So it kind of works in that sense of they're kind of playing off each other. Now we have the surprise of the night. Keith Lee defeated Randy Orton. I mean, who saw this coming? Other than Vince McMahon.
I mean, and especially in the way that it just like happened, it was just not even a Big Bang catastrophe. It was now what they're calling the Spirit Bomb.
It was always called Spirit Bomb.
It was always called the Spirit Bomb. Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was that just put Randy Orton down in, I want to say this match barely even went 10 minutes.
It went 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have somebody, a brand new caller from NXT, beating your number one contender in 9 minutes, that shows the confidence they have in Keith Lee, and I stand by the fact that I said last week Keith Lee will be in the title picture by the end of the year. If Keith Lee doesn't get a WWE Championship match by the end of the year, maybe probably before WrestleMania. I don't think. Well, it's maybe even the Rumble. I mean, with all the rumors that have been going around, I can see Keith Lee winning the Rumble and then challenging Roman on SmackDown based on their history.
That's a good theory there. Whatever, whether they choose to put him on SmackDown or keep him on Raw, I definitely think that they're pushing Keith Lee to the moon here. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they put the belt on him before year's end. But that's just speculation. I will say that I think that they took out the Big Bang catastrophe because it's kind of like a jackhammer, and they want to bring Goldberg back, and they don't want two guys using the same move.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, I'm betting somebody made the realization that the initials of his move were BBC. And
Who
what it
in
could
Vince
stand.
McMahon's inner circle do you actually think knows what that means?
Bruce Pritchard.
Oh God, no, he doesn't. He knows what a fatty is and a pimp daddy, but
Pat Patterson.
yeah. All right. Okay, you
Moving
got
on.
me. To say, uh, moving on to the next match. Trying to get the next match. And the next match is Rey and Dominic Mysterio defeating Seth Rollins and Murphy. And not a bad match. But you could definitely see that Dominic has grown leaps and bounds from at least 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, Dominic probably one of those. It seems like Dominic is one of those guys who's probably busting his butt every day. To get better in the short span of time that he had. And it was a decent match, and it was the right result. And I mean, with that being said, I'm not sure how much how much more Dominic or where Dominic goes from here, basically.
Right. But, I think this was, that kind of end result because obviously Rey Mysterio wanted to at least have one tag team match with his son
Yes.
during his run. And he got it, and I honestly thought the match lived up to that expectation. And so I do think that he needs to leave his son alone and let him kind of journey on his own and kind of figure it out. But we'll see what happens there. He's injured now anyway. And that brings us to our main event. No holds barred triple threat match. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman defeated The Fiend Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman to win the Universal Championship.
A cluster of a main event, if anything, and it just shows you that you can now just hold on to a contract before you even sign it, and just bring it out, in the middle of the match, sign it, and boom, you're in the match. I mean, yeah, isn't that what Money in the Bank is?
In retrospect, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a very good way to get Roman over as a heel. Um, and but is the Fiend, is the Fiend's run like almost over at this point? Like,
You can come
Hello?
out. Hello.
hello.
There it is. I tried to jump in last time. I guess it got the wrong number. See? Mr. Telephone Man.
We're being joined by Kaliko Yachts. A little late to the party, but he's here.
Yeah, house hunting's a bitch. It's a bitch.
We're talking about Roman Reigns winning the Universal Championship at Payback. Your thoughts on that, Kaliko?
I mean, essentially, everyone else was kind of de facto champ while he was there. Well, gone anyway, because, I mean, he was the champ. He lost it to cancer. He was going to come back, do the Goldberg thing. Corona hit. He was going to be the champ during then. So pretty much like a reign within a reign, if that makes sense.
By Roman Reigns.
Reigns within reign. But it's just crazy. Only thing I didn't like about that is like, I mean, I like how they did it. It's just like everyone's on his side now because he's with Paul. I'm like, yo, it's the same guy.
Oh, but
it's the same guy, but they just put a cool guy next to him. It's
after being live in the Thunderdome for SmackDown, I can tell you that Roman Reigns will be facing Jey Uso for the Universal Championship at Clash of Champions.
Whoa! So he's like, fuck family now. Okay.
Well, it was supposed to be Big E, Sheamus, Matt Riddle, and King Corbin. Sheamus took out Big E in the earlier in the night, and then they announced that Paul Heyman got Jey Uso into the match.
Mm.
So, and of course, based on the rumors that I've heard about them wanting to do Roman and The Rock,
if you eat that, I'll get you chocolate ice.
Corona versus cancer.
It would make sense that maybe have Roman go through his
The family. And then The Rock steps in. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know how The Rock would feel about, because the only thing I'm iffy on The Rock about is because the last time that mofo was out, he tore his stomach muscles, and movie makers was like, nah. so that's the only the only killjoy on that. But I can see your theory.
But the other the other possibility is we do get Roman Goldberg. But what I had mentioned before is that Keith Lee wins the Rumble and then goes to challenge Roman at WrestleMania based on their history. I think we're going to see something between Keith and Roman and Survivor Series.
I feel like Rock would need to win the Rumble, and the only reason I say that is because based on how they've done the Rumble, it depends on who has the belt, how they feel the importance of it is, right? So like this year, it was the WWE title was important because it was on Brock, right? So I feel like this coming Royal Rumble, it'll probably be just a challenger because of the simple fact that Roman's the guy, and that's going to be the main title. Like whoever wins the Royal Rumble, it would be good against Roman, but I don't see The Rock needing to win the Rumble to do that.
Yeah, and considering it's most likely going to be the first Rumble not in a major arena that isn't hopefully we're back in arenas by January, and
the way this shit going on, man, it's a tall order. But I feel your point.
Why, I don't see why they would want essentially to waste a Rumble win on The Rock if it's not in front of a huge audience.
That makes sense. Kaliko, you were actually...
Yeah, that'd be the thought process. But
Kaliko, you were actually in the Thunderdome for Payback. Scooter said about his test run that he did, that there was lagging, it was kind of blurry, things weren't matching up. What was your experience?
My experience, honestly, I can agree because I would jump in, and the first thing it would have is flashes of it being good, and then next thing you know, it would just lag like hell, and then it would just go fast forward to the next scene, which to me I get because they got a lot of people jumping on it, and I honestly think the next time if I get in, I would rather use a wired connection because I feel like wireless it could be choppy like that sometimes. But that's no excuse for WWE because especially when they're setting something up like this where they know is going to be a gang of people on some servers, they should be having the equipment to back that up regardless.
Now,
because the NBA prime example, they do it, and I haven't heard of any, unless the fans are just like whatever. I haven't heard any bitching about their services.
And being in the Thunderdome for SmackDown, I can tell you it ran absolutely smooth and nearly flawless.
Really?
On a wireless connection. And considering that when I went for my call time, I didn't. They told me it was all full. And but then I kept refreshing. They tell you not to do that, but I do it anyway.
Yeah.
And eventually it just said, all right, click here to enter after 5 or 6 tries. and I got in during the middle of 205 Live.
Yeah, but everything you said the first time, it's ditto. And I'm hoping that they did make those improvements because that's a big deal. I mean, if anything, it's going to be even worse because wrestling fans are going to bitch about anything, but they're really, really, really going to bitch about that. So.
Oh, and Colby Carino made his WWE debut.
Oh my God! Really?
On 205 Live. I mean, unless it was Steve and he aged down 20 years. I mean, with the blonde hair, you never know. But guess who he wrestled?
Who?
Mansoor!
Oh my God!
Man.
He's
Mansoor. He said, fuck the Santa Claus schedule. That's what's up.
Right. So, pretty good. Interesting paid preview. Do you think that WWE should do more week after paid previews? Scooter, yes or no?
Don't step on
I mean, if they're doing it as like, oh, we wanted to do a third hour, but we want to keep our pay-per-views down to less than 3 hours. Do the third hour then. Like, seriously, because then it seems like you're rushing to build up to a card with very little. I mean, there's a reason Tuesday in Texas didn't work. There's a reason Taboo Tuesday didn't work. The only reason Survivor Series worked is because it was the day before a national holiday, and that eventually changed.
What say you, Kaliko?
I agree. I think it's like it's just one of them things where it's trial by fire, and they're gonna give it the best that they can. Honestly, they have the cash to not have to worry about that. So I mean, why try to make the necessary switch like AEW did to fans when you could do the same, especially when they done sold out like virtual meet and greets and shit. So to me, them going all virtual till the end, it kind of costs them more on the IT end, but it helps them out as far as the bottom line without having to worry that much about setup and shit. So it's a trade. It's a trade-off.
Alright, that will conclude our coverage of Payback. And we are wrestling with New Japan Summer Struggle in Jingu Stadium. It was last Saturday. And
yes.
Your first
oh God.
Your first match out, Master Wato lost to Yoshinobu Katamaru in 7 minutes and 31 seconds with a sunset flip. This definitely set the tone for the night, didn't it, Kaliko?
Yeah, it set the tone. If there was a show that encapsulated 2020, if there was a match that encapsulated 2020, you know who I'm talking about. It is it. It is it. But I don't even want to go anywhere else except for 2 matches. 2 matches. That's it. That whole show was just 2 matches.
I think I know which one you're talking about. The second match on the card. The KOPW 2020 Finals 4-way match. Yano Toro defeated Kazuchika Okada with a low blow and a roll-up
yeah.
in 7 minutes and 1 second.
Bruh.
Jesus.
If that ain't 2020, I don't know what is. That is the most 2020 thing ever.
like a 7-minute
The
four-way
first king of pro wrestling.
with in only 7 minutes.
Oh God.
The-
Yes. You.
That's
With
your
a 4 or
problem with
5
it,
Yes,
Scooter?
time
bro. It's
heavyweight
just
champion.
like.
Not that, the greatest wrestler of this generation, Okada, got pinned in 7 minutes by a lesser wrestler than he did.
It's not just. It's a lesser wrestler. It's Toro Yano.
Oh yeah.
It's the DVD. It's the DVD salesman. That's who we lost to, bro. The DVD salesman.
So no heat on
I
Yano for
mean,
beating Sonata.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Yano is 2020 in itself. There's a couple people that's 2020 in themselves. Tai Chi is one of them. Yano is the other. Yano just pulled like the New Japan version of Chris Jericho, beating like Austin and The Rock at the same night. Like,
Don't Japanese fans consider Yano the spoiler,
No,
as they
that's
say?
Dick to go.
and he is the first king of pro wrestling champion,
This is correct.
which tells me that thing don't mean a goddamn thing. Title don't mean shit.
I mean, if he starts coming out in like makeup and a wig and calls himself the queen of pro wrestling, then we have a problem.
It's that
Yeah,
that
what
that
surprised
means
me
that
with Yano?
KOP that. But you know what? I was at first I was like hella pissed, and then I was like, you know what? This is right up his alley. Just he would be some dude that'll fuck around and beat the most beloved wrestler in New Japan. I mean, the third most beloved wrestler in New Japan.
Who's second?
The second one, Naito, I think,
Oh, then who's first? I got
and then
Naito would be number one.
Hiromu Takahashi.
Okay, that's fair
And the
enough.
only reason because the cat's over. As long as he had Daryl, bro, you ain't no.
All right, fair enough. Scooter.
Twitter was trending because Bad Luck Fale, that's another guy who went missing, just because he tore him up. Think about that.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal back then.
Big deal.
Scooter. Toru Yano
Yeah.
pinning Okada in 7 minutes. And essentially a match Okada pitched. Where does Okada go from here?
I would assume he would take the referee back to the bookers and try to get them to reverse the result. Because I would consider this Chris Jericho and Triple H from 2000, where Jericho beat Triple H on Raw for the title, and then Triple H just forced Earl Hebner to reverse the decision.
Reverse the match.
Quite honestly, Okada could probably have no damage done.
You're probably
Yeah, I
right
mean,
about that.
he'll be fine.
I mean, yeah, he'll be fine. You're right, he will be fine. But I think based on the final result, he should be back in that picture. So, but that's a
Match
whole
on the
nother
card.
topic.
Minoru Suzuki defeated Shingo Takagi in 14 minutes and 56 seconds with a God-style pile driver. One of the better matches on the card, but I don't think you expect anything less than from Suzuki and Takagi, correct, Liko?
True. So that tells me that they're setting up. I'm thinking this is something long term to Wrestle Kingdom for them too. I mean, Suzuki ain't really got nothing else to do, and Takagi, yeah, he ain't got shit to do. Have him lose the title, let him try to get it back, because I mean, he went from being 2 belts to no belt, and now it's like let him try to get back that title.
Yeah, it seems like it kind of went downhill for Takagi. Now we have
No, he's such a high.
I think they're going to build him back up. I mean, a win against Suzuki is going to make him.
Yeah, and I think if that's where they're going, we're thinking Wrestle Kingdom, never open, him getting the belt back.
Right.
Because it's right around the corner. We're in September, so it's not that far.
I mean, G1 is a couple weeks away.
Exactly. So that's even more incentive to try to get them probably in the same group, which is going to be interesting how they do the G1 this year, considering usually now is when the G1 is popping off. But
And I know, Scooter, you were adamant about being in the G1 last year. Obviously, due to flight restrictions, you would not be able to make it. How disappointed are you?
Don't worry. There's always next year.
All right, keep your head up, man. Next match, fourth match on the card, Hiromu Takahashi lost to Taiji Ishimori in 13 minutes and 30 seconds with a bone lock. What confused me about this match was Takahashi didn't tap to Okada, but he tapped to Ishimori. What say you, Kaliko?
yeah, I guess that's to give the credibility to Ishimori. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. You know what I mean? It's like it's a big deal if you get someone tapped. Either that or just maybe just getting caught on this one night.
It's only a travesty.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
The payoff amount is for it. It's
Probably the
10,000.
shocker of the night, even though, Yano beat Okada, Kota Ibushi and Hiroshi Tanahashi lost to Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi in 16 minutes and 1 second with a Zack Mephisto. What are they doing with Hiroshi Tanahashi's Kaliko?
The same thing that they're kind of doing with the Gata. I mean, to be quite honest, there's nothing else for the Ace to do. I mean, he's done it all. So if he wants to wrestle, he can still wrestle, but he's not going to be in those, high exhibition matches like he used to be. And if he's okay with that, that's fine. I mean, they don't never. The one thing I will say about New Japan that they listen and they allow the wrestler in this case, because I'm assuming Tanahashi, he's been the man for 10 years. Let him dictate his terms. If he wants to wrestle more, but in a division where it makes sense and they kind of turn a rivalry into a tag team with, with our guy. I mean, go ahead. So, I mean, I'm happy for it.
Scooter, do you think Tanahashi, his time is up? It's maybe time to take a back seat, or do you think he might have maybe one last push in him?
I think one last push for Tanahashi. No mixed words here. It's simple. Just one push. One less push left.
All right. Maybe we'll see that in the G1 this year. And that brings us to the sixth match in your main event. Tetsuya Naito defeated Evil in 26 minutes and 20 seconds with a Destino. Naito becomes the second third person to hold both IWGP and Intercontinental Championship at the same time.
And the first to do it 2 times. All is right in the world, baby. All is right. Damn it. On a night where Yano and Taichi been smoking fools, at least they got that right.
It seems like at the end of the day, New Japan does kind of get it right. This was a bittersweet moment to see, Naito under the fireworks. You know what I mean?
It was, I mean, but that just shows you that loss to Evil solidified the fact that New Japan is unpredictable in the sense that just because they're the champ, that doesn't mean that they're going to get a long run with it, and they could get caught any night. If you get caught on the run, and especially in Naito's case, seeing how he was on top of the world, and his loss came from somebody who was in his crew. So, and you can see the emotional toll it took on him. And then, Takahashi tried to fight in his honor. But at the end of the day, it was Naito's battle to fight and win. And I think that was, to me, the bigger story. Plus, the way that they were promoting the show, it felt like a Naito show. It was just like it was going to be the Naito show because he's on the big stadium. They had his pictures. They had him pictures on the baseball mound all over the place. Then they had that beautiful picture of him underneath the fireworks screensaver right here. But yeah, it just basically he's the guy. He's the most popular guy, one of the most popular guys. Now, not to confuse popular with beloved, because Takahashi's beloved based on his story of coming back from the neck injury and so on and so forth.
Scooter. Naito kind of alluded to that, maybe the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship should be defended separately rather than together. Do you think that they should just unify the belts, or do you think that he needs to defend them both at the same time, or do you think that one or the other is the better solution here?
It's a very odd situation. I mean, you have to figure out what is New Japan's opinion of having, an Intercontinental Championship. At this point, why have it if it's now going to be part of whoever is holding the heavyweight championship? It makes the belt in and of itself redundant.
Right.
And they might as well just actually unify, the belts, and you can make it like, I don't want to call it like the IWGP, like global, like, I don't know what to, just get rid of the Intercontinental title at this point. I mean, no one's really gonna. I don't think anybody would really miss it, considering when you think of an Intercontinental Championship, I mean, how many casual wrestling fans can actually tell you that the IWGP Intercontinental Championship actually exists?
Huh.
There have been times where I've tried to actually talk about the IWGP Intercontinental Championship to other people, and they go, "Wait, you mean the WWE Intercontinental Championship?"
It's kind of like Kaliko trying to have a conversation about Darby Allin in the supermarket.
Yes. But my only thing I would say about that, him saying that, because the only drawback with that is if I'm fighting you for the Intercontinental title and you have the heavyweight title and I beat you, why the hell would I want the second title? If I can beat you for that title, I might as well beat you for the other one. So that's where it would have to be him relinquishing it, or giving it up, or or if they get rid of it. The only reason I would say that they wouldn't get rid of it, because that belt is synonymous with Nakamura,
Right.
and that's the only reason I say that they wouldn't get rid of it, because his legacy in New Japan pretty much revolves. I mean, yeah, he's won the heavyweight title and he's on the list, but you could make the argument that him main eventing Wrestle Kingdom with the Intercontinental Championship says a lot. You know what I mean? And that's where I see Scooter's point, but for legacy reasons and traditionist reasons, and we all know New Japan is more of a traditional, old school, you know, in terms of their legacy and tradition. So I that's why I don't see them getting rid of it. I just see him relinquishing it, having a tournament. Maybe Takage gets it. Maybe this is a chance for Hiromu to move out of the junior heavyweights. So that's the only reason I would keep it, to keep those guys who've outgrown their divisions to do something.
What great points. You know, everybody is kind of in full swing with shows with live crowds. You know, WWE's gone the digital route with the Thunderdome. It seems like AEW has a crowd, but you know, doesn't seem like they're using as much precaution as they should. And then you have New Japan, who seems like they're using the precaution method. And you know, you're not allowed to cheer, but they do have an app that you press that says yay or boo or 1, 2, 3. Scooter, these are three very unique concepts. Which one do you kind of like the most?
Well, I mean, AEW just has the app with yay, boo, or 1, 2, 3. Literally, that's it.
You know, it was in Japanese, so and it said 1, 2, 3, and the rest of
Oh,
it
no.
was in
Oh,
was Japanese.
it's New Japan. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, within the country itself, there's something going on that we don't know about. And, you know, it's super fun and and it's like small and portable and efficient, like everything else that comes out of Japan. Uh, something that like dispenses like mochi, or I don't know. But that just seems like that's that's the worst of the three, quite honestly. AEW, AEW. What does AEW have besides its own people in the stands?
They just have the bleachers, but it kind of seems like they don't maybe encourage their fans to
Now AEW had an idea that they never ran with, and they probably could have built something around that, and that they were having wrestlers backstage bet on on the matches. You know, why not establish some sort of points system for the fans where they can do the same, and you can have a league
oh,
and offer prizes for the fan interaction.
that
Um,
is an interesting concept.
Get some merchandise out of there. You could even do like a VIP league where you know, for a special where people actually pay There will be people that'll pay $10 to enter an exclusive contest that there is a greater chance of them winning as opposed to a free contest. In fact, maybe I'll send a letter to Tony Khan by a certified mail for this, but I mean, WWE right now, hands down, they have the best technology. I mean, there's gotta be ways for them to improve it. I mean, being on the Thunderdome, I accidentally pulled up my cigar out of habit, and immediately I heard somebody, one of the moderators, get on. There is no vaping or smoking allowed. We see it. We will ban you. So they are paying attention to people. And, of course, I kept trying to say to people, I kept like, can I speak to Vince? I actually heard Vince, because whoever was giving the instructions was really close to him. I do have to say I'm not fond of the guy coaching us when something suddenly happens, and I'm gonna bring this up again. On SmackDown, Bayley finally cut the dead weight of Sasha Banks, and when Bayley, her that initial turn, the guy comes on the headset and goes, "Oh my God, guys, let's see your shock reaction. These guys were best friends." I'm like, dude, like, kayfabe is a very thin line now. Like, you don't really have to tell us to put on our shock faces, because immediately I did the opposite. I was like, "Yeah, Bayley, you needed to do that." Everything's in its infancy, and the technology will grow. I'm more worried at this point about what happens when we're allowed to go back to arenas.
Right.
What happens to it? Like, does the only thing I can see is that it becomes like NXT exclusive at that point. Like, they pick up a great, it's a great concept developed in the time of need, but what about when it's not needed anymore? That's the main problem with anything. Like,
Oh, absolutely. So you're one for WWE Thunderdome.
yeah, I gotta give it to Thunderdome here. Yeah.
What about you, Kaliko? Did we lose Kaliko?
He is muted.
No, you did not. Muted myself because my son be yelling, damn it. Anyways, it's weird. It's weird how all three companies are doing it, but let's keep in fact that one country has their shit under control and the other two don't. Or the other country, with us being us, don't. AEW, I felt like that they had no choice but to get back into the fans game. And the reason I was saying this, because it's funny, I was saying this to somebody else, and they were like, well, they got all this money from the football play, from the cons, and da-da-da. And I'm like, nah, bruh. They only got like 400 mil, and then think about it. Your first year as a company, you're already running in the red because of the fact that you have to do the advertising and paying salaries, because they were paying salaries for for at least 6 to 8 months before they even had a TV show. So they were already in the red before they even got on TV. So to me, I kind of figured it would be an evolution to this because of the simple fact that the only thing that they really have to sustain it, other than the TNT deal, is the fan base. Because, I mean, they don't really have anybody that stands out as this household name that wasn't known by WWE. The Thunderdome, as much as I agree with Scooter about how they coach, and that is something dumb because Randy Orton came out against Keith Lee when I was in the dome. They were like, "Tell us how you feel about Randy Orton," and I'm like, "I actually like him." Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what the fuck you talking about? He don't owe me money. He's cool with me. So, but as much as I agree with some points, I feel like that's going to be something that's going to be here forever because it's pulling in people from around the world. And if they're still touring, they can still get the gate money. But I feel like that they're going to have I feel like if they take that section, like, sometimes they don't sell out. So if they take that Tarper section and make it into monitors, I mean, that might be a cost, but if they take that section and make it into monitors and allow fans to actually watch it from that view, I feel like that would be something that could make not a big difference, but combining what the mother of necessity with today. Because I feel like that it's here and it's going to be here for a hot minute. I feel like that Thunderdome is going to be here even after the fact.
So that's so which one?
But yes, the Thunderdome's hella better because they got as much as people shit on WWE, they got the money, and that's what it is. They got the money, they got the infrastructure to set that up. They have infrastructure, producing, technology in spades on top of AEW. AEW still kind of running the first year, and they're running it like no different than how NWA ran it, except NWA did it in a smaller venue and didn't have $400 million back then.
Thunderdome Dos Votes.
Fair enough. Alright, and that will conclude our coverage of New Japan Summer Struggle in Jingu Stadium. Next week we will be covering all things All Out. Can't remember these names. All Out is actually today. It's in a couple hours, so don't really see a point in making a preview now. Just quick thoughts on what do you expect from All Out, Scooter, if anything.
I expect a very sticky floor.
Okay.
With all that mimosa. Yeah, and orange juice.
Yep, that's gonna be. It's gonna be better than WrestleMania.
I mean, and the. I mean, I'll admit the tooth and nail match kind of has me interested.
Which?
The Britt Baker and Big Swole tooth and nail match, they're calling it.
That's not even on the actual show.
From my list, it is. Private Party against the Dark Order is listed as on the pre-show on my list.
I saw the buy-in was Britt Baker and Swole.
Yeah, front. I am I am looking at Wikipedia, and they said it's on the show, but you never know. I mean, Mimosa Mayhem. It's like Jesus. A long time ago, when I was like 9 or like 10, I thought of a match actually taking place on a boat, and the winner was the person who could throw his opponent into the ocean.
Which is a great concept.
But you'd have like like henchmen like competing for you and whatnot and everything.
A pirate panic match.
Something like that, like Bruise Cruise. Jericho and Cassidy. Cassidy's gonna get freaking. In fact, you know what? I expect Orange Cassidy to just dive right into the mimosa.
Well,
in fact, I'm calling it now. He'll just dive right into it and just drink.
With AEW, nothing is off the table. What about you, Kaliko?
Honestly, the only match I'm really, really, really looking forward to is Sheeta versus Thunder Rosa. Because to me, that signals something going on with NWA and AEW. As some kind of a partnership or something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I hope that they use the two biggest stars that they have in NWA, Thunder Rosa and Sienna, aka Allison Kay, to bolster that dead ass division. Just DED dead.
So NWAEW?
Yes, NWAEW. That's what I'm talking about. That would be the one. That's the one.
Well, we're not going to beat that. That's where we will end the show tonight. If you like us, please subscribe, comment on YouTube and Castbox. And if you want to join in the conversation, we are always available on Twitter. You can find me at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko Yachts?
I am Kaliko. And to prove my point last week, I went back and looked up every match Adam Cole had in November, and it's still fucking better than goddamn Mox's whole year. And I will post that fucking screenshot tonight.
All right, you're on a mission here now. And what can they find?
I'm here to right a wrong. I'm here to right a wrong, James. Here to right a wrong.
If you don't, who will? And where can they find Scooter Dust?
You can find me, of course, at Scooter Dust on Twitter and at UNBS Wrestling. And just to know, September 28th, 2020. Hopefully, if I've got everything set up correctly, that's when the remix returns full time.
That is awesome, and we hope that it happens in full swing and at full power.
Thank you.
For Kaliko Yachts, Mitch Mayhem, and Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.